dreams?
It's time to wake up, dude.
I had a dream about that girl again.
I didn't care the first time you told me. Care even less now.
Toronto, Canada. Not too long ago.
Hey, wanna go out sometime?
You want to go on a date with me?
Ramona Flowers has 7 evil exes, all of whom you must defeat in order to date her.
What?
Hello, welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast for the animated series Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I'm actually probably joining me today, Dylan Blight.
Sorry, I swore. Hello.
Terrible. Yeah, so we're talking about the new series based on the Bryan O'Malley series of comic books, which was then adapted into a movie directed by Edgar Wright, to having an all-star cast who pretty much all have come back to do this animated series, despite all going on to varying degrees of stardom since that movie came out in
That's over
2010.
10 years ago, so that's crazy.
Yes. Dylan, what are your feelings about Scott Pilgrim as a franchise prior to this,
So
series?
I'd read all the comics prior to the movie. I wasn't reading them as they come out. I sort of, when the Scott Pilgrim movie was announced, I was like, that sounds cool. So I caught up then, like 2019 or whatever. Loved all of those. Loved the movie. It was like one of my favorite movies the year it came out, or if not my favorite movie came out. The game came out and that was like one of the best games of that year. Amazing soundtrack, everything. So I'd say like super into love Scott Pilgrim. However, and the reason I wasn't super excited for this is I definitely feel like as I got older, more and more, anytime I saw jokes and memes and references to Scott Pilgrim, I was like, I just didn't vibe with them as much. I'm like, I'm just getting old. Like I feel like the jokes and references and all that sort of stuff, like whatever from Scott Pilgrim. Like it's not like I'm like, this is trash now. Like not that. It's just I'm like, it's not vibing with me. I'm not as in love with this as I was at the time. So
the discourse around the movie changed, or like the franchise changed.
I guess
like,
because the
you
people
saw
who loved
more-
it got older. Like,
yeah, like obviously I also love the film. I think I watched that. I think I read the comics because the movie was coming out, and it's a fantastic trailer. So I'm gonna read all these. I listened to the soundtrack before I went to watch the movie because I was that excited to go see it, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, love all that. It's been interesting, like obviously in the years since, just the discourse around it, people looking for their Ramona Flowers, and like anybody who's got like any girl who has colored hair constantly being referred to as Ramona Flowers, and that kind of stuff. And then just like people not liking the movie, I've seen more of since in the years since. And this is remember, this is a movie that I guess technically bombed. It did not perform very well at the cinemas, box office wise, but obviously had developed a cult following or like a devoted fan base and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was still very excited to watch this coming out, but was not expecting what it actually is. So yeah, let's get into it. Please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about the series, and I guess the movie from 2010 and the comic book probably.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched and read that stuff, come back later. With that said, let's jump into a discussion of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Animated by Saru, developed by Bryan Lee O'Malley and BenDavid Grabinski, written by Bryan Lee O'Malley and David Grabinski, based on Scott Pilgrim by Bryan Lee O'Malley, starring Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Satya, Bhabha, Kieran, Culkin, Chris Evans, Anna Kendrick, Brie, Larson, Alison, Aubrey, Plaza, Brandon Routh, Jason Schwartzman, Johnny Simmons, Mark Webber, Mae Whitman, and Ellen Wong. Scott Pilgrim meets the girl of his dreams, Ramona Flowers, and discovers he must defeat her 7 evil exes in order to date her. But this time, things get more complicated. Dylan, you've got a review up for Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which you said, here I began, all in lesbians with the Scott Pilgrim world and characters all over again. And gave it a 9 out of 10. So what did you think of Scott Pilgrim Takes
I'll
Off?
tell you what, I think that review was very hard to write without spoiling the series.
Yes.
Sometimes you just sit down and smash out a review. Other times I'm like, nope.
How do I word
How do I say I like
without
this without, yeah. And how do I
ruining it for
talk
people?
about vaguely why it's good without actually ruining it?
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, very, very good. I think everything I was saying before is so important to set up why I liked it, because it definitely feels like it's not a thing of like the fan base turning on it and being like,
No.
this is bad now. It's just they grew older and I grew older and whatever.
No,
But
I
this
just think
product,
people looked at it with a more critical and
mature eye.
mature eye. Yeah, like
Yeah.
everybody grew up 10 years and was like,
Yeah.
the society has progressed forward,
Yeah.
or certain segments of society have progressed forward. So things
But-
may not have aged as well as they
Yeah.
could
But
have.
this is the only show, movie, whatever, legacy sequel type thing. I can legacy reboot, I don't know, whatever we call it, re-sequel thing I can think of that has actually head on feels like the creator, and the creator is the same person who did the original product. So it's not even like someone else is coming in, but the creator is well aware of the discussion points that have been brought up around Scott, Ramona, like all the knives, whatever else throughout the history of Scott Pilgrim, and gone, yep, nah, you're right. Like, you know, so
that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I totally get that. That's cool. You like the rest of it though, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah, the rest is great. Oh yeah, cool. So it's just, you know, because it's really weird. This whole series, I don't actually know how enjoyable this would be if you haven't watched either the movie or have read the comics. Because even though it's like a completely new story, it is also just within this. It's set during a world where it's very reliant on the audience having watched or knowing the original story for it to work.
I think it would work, but
Not
again,
as good.
like a lot of stuff that we've like everything in the MCU and a whole bunch of other stuff, you'll feel like you're missing something, I guess.
Yeah, but not in that sort of MCU way. It's not like you're missing an Easter egg.
But like with the current, like if you went into the Marvels without having seen WandaVision or Captain Marvel or like Ms. Marvel, you would feel like you're missing something. I think it's a similar kind of feeling here, but you could still see it because I feel like there is enough of a narrative story to get you through.
Yeah.
It'd just be odd the movie thing that they keep bringing up and like how, you know, mentions of him beating all the other exes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because like coming into this, I was like, Scott's kind of just like that character. When the movie came out, I was like, yeah, slacker dude vibes. Like I could vibe with that, right? I could get down. When the movie originally came out, 2010, I was 18, right?
Yeah,
I was 18 when it came out. I could vibe with Scott as a character. Now not so much. You know, I'm 23 years older or whatever it is. You know, so the 13 years older. Sorry, fucking. The movie and that character are just completely different, and this show just straight away completely pushes Scott to the side, which is the funniest thing. Makes Ramona the star, like a detective. Basically gives all the other side characters way more things to do. Suddenly it's not about just beating up all these evil exes to win a girl because the girl's the prize. It's like the girl sitting down and talking to characters and like working out past traumas and stuff. Like it is. I don't think I could have ever described, like if someone was like, well, what if this animated series isn't just the same story, what would you have it be about? I would have been like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know how you would give me something I'd like. But somehow this is also the weirdest thing I've watched this year. And I have no idea how they got this green lit or like kept it a secret or anything like that. But each episode I'd just start and it would just be like, it was just a fever dream of like, I don't know how the fuck they wrote or made this. Like, it was just such a weird experience. But yes, I loved it, obviously. 9 out of 10, yeah. So it's long story short.
Yeah, I agree. I loved it as well. I might be even like a 9.5, 10. It's like fantastic. Yeah, not that it matters. It's also semantics. But it is it's really a sequel, I guess. Kind of. Well,
yeah.
kind of
Yeah, legacy sequel thing.
I mean, yeah, I mean, technically it is a sequel because, you know, the events of the first movie do actually happen, or the comic books do happen. It's just, you know, then the future Scott goes back and then changes time, and we just start the thing at a certain time point, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think fantastic. Like, how they've managed to pull this off is crazy. Like, the story they've decided to make, which I'm sure will rub diehard fans who wanted a faithful adaptation the wrong way. But I think what we get here
They
is
had
something
it.
much.
The movie is a faithful adaptation. For the most part, the movie is a very faithful adaptation.
I mean, you know, there's still a
It's like
large
90%.
I mean, you've still got the comic books, so
Yeah.
you've got the source
And they
material.
just
is still
and they
there.
colored those in, and that's a very faithful.
Yeah, that's
adaptation of
cool.
the comic books.
And they're in hardcover, so you can
Yeah,
just,
that's- yeah.
I do want to one day get the hardcover copies.
I've
So
often looked at them just to collect a collector's item, but yeah.
just a cool thing on the wall. But yeah, I think, you know, it's beautifully animated as well, even though, you know, I think you write in your article, like, it from the trailers and that kind of stuff, it just kind of looked a bit odd beforehand, but like watching it fully, it's like, yeah, they nailed everything, the little fun like sound effects and everything, and just where they take a bunch of the different characters, I think is really interesting. So we might as well just hit on the key point. Episode one, super faithful, mostly faithful adaptation. I think going in, we also discussed like the pacing being interesting compared to the movie, and obviously that was the first vibe that it was not going to be the movie. Like, it was paced differently. It was much slower and like hitting some of the key points. Like, it wasn't, obviously, I guess the first movie kind of just adapts the first graphic novel. So there wasn't the necessity to shove 6 movies worth of content in one movie that was in the case of the movie, so you could take your time a little bit more. But also, Edgar Wright was executive producing, but he wasn't directly involved in the production and the directing of this, so it was always going to have a different pace to it. But then you get to the end of the episode, and Scott Pilgrim seemingly dies. What was your instant reaction?
He took off.
Yeah, he did take off.
He takes off. Yeah.
What was your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction was, that's different. Like, maybe this is a swerve, right?
Maybe this is a swerve.
I was being a bit naive. I was like, okay, like, so they're changing up a little bit. Maybe it's just they're adding this little weird subplot.
Oh, next episode he's gonna have like an extra life or something, and
something like that.
I
assumed it would be some weird thing with like, extra life or someone does something.
Yeah.
At first episode ends, I was like, yeah, that's a little bit different, but whatever. Second episode, I'm about 10 minutes in, and I go, no, we're
holding a funeral.
We're at a whole different road here. That song starts getting sung. I'm like, this is a new song. This funeral is not ringing any bells. They're not bringing him back.
But to be clear, that isn't a new song. It's just new to the world of Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. I was like 10 minutes into that, and I was like, no, I don't think he's coming back. Okay. I paused and I Googled, what is Scott Pilgrim Takes Off? And everyone says it's just the same description. Is Scott Pilgrim Takes Off a faithful adaptation? I found all these interviews with people saying that, it's just reuniting the cast, blah, blah. Like, I could not find shit. Then I watched like another episode. So by the time I talked to you for the first time, so I watched episode 3, and by now I'm like, this is just well off the tracks. We're in a whole new world, and I got to record something with Ash at a time because I had screamers.
It was Platt last week. Yeah.
Was playing Platt.
Oh no, it was something else.
Platt or
the
something.
Week before, yeah.
I come in and I go to Ash. Now, the Scott Pilgrim series, have they ever like said that it like wouldn't be a 1-to-1 faithful adaptation? I'm trying to be coy, so
a little bit unsuccessfully, but
because I was confused. I was very much having that feeling of, have I missed something? Because I was like, there's no way they've managed to keep this big of a difference a secret.
But yeah, they did. It's like, it is one of the craziest, most bold swerves I think I've seen in like a franchise or like a known IP, because everybody was kind of expecting a faithful adaptation based on. But I mean, the trailers predominantly showed stuff from the first episode.
Yep.
There's like some small cuts to like other
There's
stuff.
a couple
but
shots from like the last episode actually, but yeah, because it's Ramona and Scott fighting, but you don't realize,
realize what they're doing.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you get to the end of the episode. He beats Scott.
Yep.
And then the next episode is like focused on all the different evil exes, like fighting over who should rule the evil exes and that kind of stuff.
Which is funny because the show's first actual full-on fight scene, it doesn't have Scott in it at all.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't land a punch.
It's crazy. I'm like, shit, it's crazy that Scott Pilgrim's the title of this.
Yep.
This show.
When he is Ramona Flowers. Like
when it's like he's only in like 3 episodes.
Yep.
But yeah, obviously, from there Ramona realizes that, or comes to the belief that Scott has it's not even till end of episode 2 that she realizes, or comes to the conclusion that Scott's still
right
alive.
at the end, she's like rewinds that footage. I was like,
No, she wakes up from the dream of
that's right,
going through the
subspace tunnels.
Yeah. But yeah, I really who did you enjoy seeing fleshed out the most in this series?
I mean, it's hard to go past Ramona.
Oh yeah.
Because
obviously,
like just comics and movies, she's a girl written and drawn to be like a nerdy guy, sort of like, and that's the thing. Like she's just very much
she's
like
what's the term?
She's a manic pixie dream girl, but for nerds is basically what she is. Very one note, doesn't have much going on for her as a character, other than having a bunch of evil exes and being attractive.
Trauma,
yeah, and trauma. But in this, like fully fleshed out, like she's just such a more interesting character, and getting to see her, that episode in particular where she goes full detective, I loved, and tracking down and everything, like, and she's the character that interacts with every single character in the show. She's the central figure. So it's hard to say anyone other than her. But if I had to pick someone else, I would actually say young Neil, which is a very weird answer, but fuck me if I didn't enjoy young Neil in this show. Such an idiot, but so much fun.
I mean, you think of Scott, and he is very dumb. But young Neil is like another level.
Yeah.
Just him believing that script was written by his paralysis.
Yeah.
It's just,
so good.
Hear him calling them go-karts.
My favorite part is when they go into the filming the movie and he's got sunglasses on. He's like, it's just very dark and like it's a cinematic flavor. It's like, you've got sunglasses on. Oh, that would explain it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I really enjoyed Julie. I think, in the film and in the comics, she's like kind of a joke character and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But get to flesh her out. Aubrey Plaza gets to give a bigger performance in this. She's really fantastic. Yeah. I guess getting more Wallace is really fun because, again, that was a perfect piece of casting and has proved a fantastic piece of casting with Kieran Culkin and his kind of whole arc of like going from the background of every situation. It's very amusing. And yeah, just delving into each of the evil exes and Ramona kind of like delving into her trauma and that kind of stuff, dealing with everything, was really fantastic to watch. Like, and it's so beautifully animated, like especially all the fight scenes. I think that fight between Roxy and Ramona is so fantastically animated and so inventive, like fighting through a bunch of movies and that kind of stuff. Is really cool. Even the fight with Lucas Lee or Luke Lee, I can't remember which.
Yeah, Lucas
technically, like fighting. I love that they set up the ninja photographer paparazzi, like the episode before, and then just taking them all out. Just he like leaves his house, skateboards along the side of a building, and just like lands and takes out. And he's like got the thing popping up where he's getting points and coins for taking them out, like it's a game. There's just so many cool elements, and just like delving into the backstories and like I love the documentary episode where they're going into the making of the film, and it turns out that old Brandon Routh's character falls in love with Wallace. Hilarious. Just his reaction to him not loving him was going to get gift. I think just smash his head constantly against the floor with his vegan powers. Yeah, it's just fantastic, and because all these characters were interesting, it's just we never got enough time to kind of get to know them or see more of them. What did you think of the cast coming back? Because I've seen some people not think it's actually a great performance by the cast.
I have no problem with a single person in this. I think they're all great.
Yeah, I
No
think
issues.
Michael Cera at the start maybe a little bit maybe a little bit more subdued than I was expecting. But once you get
trying to redo that same Scott from the movie, maybe he's purposely been directed to try and do it as much like the movie, which he's struggling with. But by the time we get to
new stuff,
him talking to himself and everything, all of that's great. So
I really enjoyed that. Although it's abundantly clear also that this was obviously animated, but it's in anime. It's animated by a Japanese studio. In the credits, there is the Japanese voice cast also.
Yeah.
So I feel like they were the prime audience. I don't know if who was it dubbed.
It's definitely more American audience. It's an American. Yeah.
Who was it dubbed to though? I don't know.
It was dubbed to Japan.
No. Who was it lip synced to?
The English cast.
Was it though?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 110%.
If you say so. Yeah. So what did you think of the mystery that played out and the reveal that?
I mean, I got to be honest, I could not have guessed. So, no complaints from me. I'm watching the series going, they're going through the X's, and I'm like, fuck, is it really just going to be twins? That's sort of boring. But then I was thinking, maybe it's a way to add more to the twins because they're sort of a nothing, boring character. They don't have much. So, making them the big evil villain of this series is the giving them such a moment and whatever. I was like, all right. So as it got closer and closer to that the last few episodes, I was whatever. And then when it's revealed it was Scott himself from the future, I'm like, fuck, this is such a funny twist. But it works so well. And again, it's just playing into that version of Scott from the movie and from the original comic, who, as I was saying, as I got older, I was like, that guy's kind of a dick. He's a dick, and I don't know why. I liked him. The thing is, I've seen people say he was never meant to be likable, which fine. I definitely did think he was likable at the time, but yeah.
I think he's still likable. It's just he has a tendency to make dumb decisions. I don't think.
Well, yeah, people. I'm saying people think he does all these terrible things. He does this.
Everybody does.
Yeah, but I think. But again, the crazy thing about the show is it's the own creator having a new version of Scott who sounds and talks a lot more mature and acts a lot better and apologizes to people like Knives within the context of the actual thing, which is great. I love that as well because that's always been such a weird, iffy thing that's part of the story, this Knives Chow dating thing, has that part of it. And he just fights this version of himself from basically the movie, who's turned into an evil monster. It was great.
Yeah. It's the future version of the movie version of the character.
Great.
Voiced by Will Forte, who was a great choice.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And just seeing the future, just the ridiculousness of the VR room. The standing inside of a controller.
Well, I don't think that was VR. I'm pretty sure that was just a pair of Nintendo.
Binoculars. Yeah.
Or
VR. Yeah, it was just a VR headset or whatever. Yeah. And him still living in Wallace's basement, all the little fun touches, and then it turns out that he could have been with Ramona the entire time, but he kind of, much like her, ran away from confrontation and that kind of stuff. This is a show about communication and how important it is. And talking through your issues with people.
And again, it's just funny to me because the original movie in the comic book was targeted towards a certain age group, and now this just feels like it's targeted to those same people, but knowing that they're now like 30, 40.
Did you see many of the little Easter eggs and that kind of stuff?
I mean, what sort of ones?
I
saw
mean, the
some
clear
Easter eggs,
one is Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Oh, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. What's his fuck from Stranger Things?
Finn Wolfhard voices young. Scott Pilgrim.
like the whole in the screen, the notes, it was like, do not mention any of the extra voice cast.
Okay.
So I was like, the number one, weirdly, the top listed do not spoil thing. I was like, okay. Yeah.
Not the which ending the storyline at all.
No, like they didn't mention that at all. It was just like, do not spoil that these people are guest voice actors. I'm like, okay.
They just trusted you not to. They'd be like,
it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg play
security guards.
Security guards modeled on their Hot Fuzz characters, I guess.
Yeah.
Who then also in the last episode are eating cornettos, which I think is a nice touch.
Good bit.
I loved also that the director of the Scott Pilgrim film is Edgar Wrong.
Yep.
Just a silly, very silly, a little bit as well. The lead singer of Metric does the singing for Envy Adams in the church, which obviously, Metric did a lot of music for Scott Pilgrim, or like at least the Clash of the Demon Head songs and that kind of stuff.
Main song, yeah.
And yeah, there was a bunch of other little things, I think, references to other pop culture stuff, but those are the main things that stuck out. I think there's some other interesting voices. Who else? Just fun cameos like Shannon Woodward, Kobe Hal-Baptiste, Nelson Franklin plays the documentarian, and he played another character in the movie from memory. Lots of fun little cameos and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
my favorite thing that happened with this, it's not like trivia or anything so much as a fact, but just the fact that the soundtrack is a mix of so many. There's a part, the song that kicks in the final fight in episode 8 is one of the main like epic songs from the Scott Pilgrim the game. And I was like, holy shit, this fucking song, like, because that soundtrack for that game, I've always like been like, this soundtrack is like just one of the best original video game soundtracks, I swear to fucking god. And they like reuse some of those songs in this. I thought it was so good. You never played that game, did you?
No, I never.
I played the living fuck out of it. So much.
It sounds like it. Did you have a favorite fight sequence?
That's hard, eh? I honestly feel like the first one, to be honest. It was such a shocking thing at the time.
What, the
Gideon versus
Matthew Patel?
Matthew Patel, yeah.
Yeah, because at that point you knew everything was going to change.
Yeah, and I was like, Matthew Patel's going to get his ass kicked here in a second. Then when he beats Gideon, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, can I talk about how much I love Gideon in this? Falling down on his luck, just being a sad boy, living in Julie Power's house.
What's his name?
Something Goose.
Something Goose or whatever, yeah. So funny.
Gordon Goose.
Gordon Goose. He's like, I'm no longer Gideon Graves. I'm just Gordon Goose.
Yeah. Just love the way his character's fleshed out also. And then the episode
people,
where
no. People said, people thought I had no fear because I always wear those no fear shirts. And then the fact that he's wearing the no fear shirt and then he gets Lucas wearing the no fear shirt, I was like, that's so good.
I love the segment of them being best buds in the house.
But what seems like weeks is like an hour.
I've been for 9 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Fucking house. Building a skate ramp inside. Hilarious. Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss about Scott Pilgrim Takes Off? Do we get a second season?
I feel like they obviously leave it over for a second season. That's highly dependent on how well this does. And you know what? Fuck it. Sure. I'm down.
Yeah. If they want to do a second season, if they've got ideas for second season, let's do it. But
yeah. Because the thing is, I honestly don't even feel like I would trust them to do something interesting because of how wild they went with this. Where I'm like, okay, so you do a second season of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. The first season wasn't even really about Scott Pilgrim, so you might as well just continue that trend. Because at this stage, I'm like, does the show even need to be about Scott? Not really.
No, it's just the world.
It's just the world of these characters. So, and there's enough of the other characters that I would care to see more about. At this stage, I'm like, do I need to see more of Scott? Not really. Like, that's the point. You know, like,
but also, seeing this version of Scott could be very interesting. Like,
it could be, but I'm also like, I don't know. Like, there's so many other characters that it's almost like all the evil exes.
Do you feel like there was any character that was underserved by this? Because I feel like
the twins Knives is still could have got more, but she gets a lot more in this. Again, I feel like I think it's different. Turn into an artist and turn like that thing, the joke about her just like learning an instrument in like 2 minutes
really quickly,
very funny. The fact that she becomes so close to I can't remember the dude's name, whatever, the lead singer of the band, Stephen Stills becomes real friends with him and producer and all that sort of stuff, and they've got like
manipulates their way into writing a musical.
Yeah, but like she said, their singing part at the end where they're doing the musical is very funny. Yeah, so I would say that Knives doesn't get as much as I feel like they could do with that character. And again, that's like, well, you could do a lot more of a second season, but I still feel like she gets way better character representation here than she done in the movie or the comic. She's more than just a one-note love Scott character.
The obsessive fangirl.
Yeah, she's way more than that. So
yeah, I think it's fair. But I also think Scott's sister, played by Anna Kendrick, Stacy, barely gets anything in this, which is weird because Ramona comes into the coffee shop where she is working and talks about her brother who just died, and she just completely ignores her.
She's just a gossiper, you know, like
it's just odd. And she also gets high billing. It's very weird. Yeah,
she's Anna Kendrick.
She is Anna Kendrick and deserves it, but it's still odd.
So many people, it's wild to think how many people in this voice cast / in the movie who have gone on to not say bigger, better things, but definitely bigger things.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Pine went on to become. Well, Chris Evans went to become Captain America. Brie Larson.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick is even obviously. Audrey Plaza's like way bigger of a name than she was when this came out.
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, obviously was a no one basically when this came out. I feel.
Alison Pill.
Alison Pill's gone on to do way better things. After. Yep. So like this whole cast is just so, and the fact they all came back, I think is great. So.
Yeah, very exciting. All right, let us know what you thought of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here, what do you want to watch? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars. Anyone can leave 5 stars. Just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page, explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.